Captain Cole stood in chains before the Galactic High Council. The massive chamber stretched around him like a cathedral made of living crystal. 12 alien judges sat on floating platforms above him. Their faces showed no mercy. Their eyes held only cold judgment. Was the first human to reach this far into the galaxy. His small exploration ship had crossed into the Empire's territory by accident. Now they called him a criminal. They called him a spy. They called him a threat to their 1,000-year peace. The lead judge was a tall being with silver skin and 4 arms. His name was High Arbiter. He looked down at like someone might look at an insect. "Human," said, his voice echoing through the chamber, "you have entered sacred space without permission. You have recorded our systems with your primitive technology. You have committed acts of espionage against the Empire." Tried to speak. "I was only exploring. My navigation system failed. I never meant to." "Silence," commanded. "Your kind is unknown to us. Your species has no standing in galactic law. You have no rights here. You are guilty by the very nature of your existence in our space." The other judges nodded their heads in agreement. Some whispered to each other in languages could not understand. Their translator device only picked up fragments. Words like primitive and dangerous and execute floated through the air. Felt his heart sink. He had left Earth 3 years ago. He had traveled farther than any human before him. He had dreamed of making first contact with alien civilizations. He had imagined friendship and exchange of knowledge. He never imagined this. He never imagined standing in chains while beings from another world decided whether he should live or die. A smaller alien approached the council. This one had green scales and large yellow eyes. He was the prosecutor, and his name was Vex. He carried a data pad that glowed with evidence against. "High Council," Vex began, "the human ship contained scanning equipment. He mapped 3 of our border systems. He recorded military installations. He captured images of our civilian populations. This is clear evidence of hostile intent." Shook his head. "Those were scientific instruments. I was cataloging star systems. I photograph everything I discover. That is what explorers do." Vex laughed. It was a cold and cruel sound. "Explorers, your species has barely left your own solar system. You are children playing with fire, and now you expect us to believe you meant no harm." The council members exchanged looks, could see they had already made up their minds. The trial was just a formality. They would find him guilty. They would make an example of him. They would show the galaxy what happens to uninvited guests. But then something unexpected happened. The crystal walls of the chamber began to vibrate. A low hum filled the air. The judges looked around in confusion. Even Prosecutor Vex stepped back in surprise. In the center of the chamber, the floor began to glow. Ancient symbols appeared on the crystal surface. They pulsed with golden light. The symbols were older than the Empire itself. They were older than any civilization in the known galaxy. High Arbiter rose from his seat. His silver face showed something had not seen before: fear. "The artifact," whispered, "the artifact of the first ones is awakening." From beneath the floor a structure began to rise. It was a pillar of pure light contained within a framework of unknown metal. The pillar stood 3 meters tall. Its light filled the entire chamber. Everyone shielded their eyes, everyone except. He found he could look directly at it. The light did not hurt his eyes. Instead, it felt warm. It felt familiar. It felt like coming home after a long journey. The artifact had been dormant for 50,000 years. The Empire had built their High Council chamber around it. They believed it was a relic of the first ones, the ancient race that had seeded life throughout the galaxy. But no one had ever seen it active. No one had ever witnessed its power. Until now. A voice emerged from the artifact. It spoke in every language at once. It spoke directly into the minds of everyone present. "A judgment is being made," the voice said. The artifact awakens to witness. The artifact awakens to reveal truth. High Arbiter tried to regain control. Great Artifact, this court is handling a simple matter of trespassing. There is no need for your intervention. The artifact pulsed brighter. The artifact sees beyond simple matters. The artifact sees the heart of those who stand before it. Bring the accused forward. The guards holding looked at each other. They were afraid, but they were more afraid of disobeying the artifact. They pushed toward the pillar of light. Stood before the ancient device. He could feel energy washing over him. It was scanning him. It was reading him. It was looking into his very soul. The chamber was completely silent. Every being present held their breath. Even the judges had forgotten their superior attitudes. They watched with wide eyes and trembling hands. Then the artifact spoke again. This being carries no malice. This being carries no deception. This being sought only knowledge and connection. This being risked everything to reach beyond the boundaries of his world. Prosecutor Vex stepped forward. Great Artifact, the evidence clearly shows. The artifact sees all evidence, the voice interrupted. The artifact sees evidence the accusers have hidden. The artifact sees that the human ship was deliberately drawn off course. The artifact sees that the Border Patrol altered navigation beacons to trap this explorer. Gasps filled the chamber. High Arbiter turned pale. Several judges began whispering urgently. The artifact continued. The Empire feared what they did not understand. They feared a new species reaching toward the stars. They created a crime where none existed. They sought to destroy innocence to protect their own power. Could hardly believe what he was hearing. He had been set up. His navigation failure was not an accident. Someone had wanted him to cross into space. Someone had wanted an excuse to capture and condemn him. But the artifact was not finished. The artifact has observed countless species rise and fall. The artifact has witnessed empires built on lies crumble to dust. The artifact has waited for those worthy of its purpose. The pillar of light grew brighter still. The golden symbols on the floor began spinning around. He felt himself lifting off the ground. Energy flowed through him like electricity through a wire. This human carries qualities the galaxy has forgotten, the artifact declared. Curiosity without conquest, courage without cruelty, the desire to understand rather than to dominate. These qualities make him worthy. A beam of light shot from the artifact into his chest. He gasped but felt no pain. Instead, he felt strength flooding into him. Knowledge poured into his mind. He saw visions of the first ones. He saw their rise and their sacrifice. He saw why they created the artifact before they left the galaxy forever. The artifact names this human the bearer of justice, the voice announced. He shall carry the authority of the first ones. He shall stand as witness against corruption. He shall be the voice of the voiceless across all worlds. Descended slowly to the floor. The chains around his wrists dissolved into dust. On his chest, a symbol now glowed through his uniform. It was the mark of the first ones. It was the seal of ultimate authority. High Arbiter fell to his knees. The other judges followed. Even Prosecutor Vex dropped his data pad and bowed his head. Bearer of justice, said, his voice shaking, forgive us. We did not know, we could not have known. Looked at the kneeling aliens. He could feel the artifact's power within him. He could sense the fear of everyone in the chamber. They expected punishment. They expected revenge. But was still human, and humans at their best chose mercy over vengeance. Stand up, said quietly, all of you. The judges rose slowly, uncertain of what would happen next. I did not come to your space seeking power, continued. I came seeking friendship. I came hoping to learn from you and to share what my people have learned. That has not changed. He walked toward High Arbiter. The silver-skinned judge flinched but did not flee. The artifact chose me for reasons I do not fully understand, said. But I do understand this. Justice is not about punishment. Justice is about making things right. Justice is about building a future where no one has to stand in chains for the crime of being different. He turned to address the entire council. I will carry this responsibility. I will use this authority when it is needed, but I hope it will rarely be needed. I hope we can build something better together, humans and every other species in this galaxy. The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, High Arbiter extended his four hands in the gesture of peace and alliance. Bearer of justice, he said, the Empire welcomes humanity to the galactic community. Let this day mark the beginning of a new era. Took the alien's hands in his own. Behind him, the artifact pulsed with approval. Its light filled the chamber with warmth. 3 years later, the first human embassy opened on the trade routes connected Earth to dozens of alien civilizations. Knowledge flowed between species that had never known each other existed. And whenever corruption threatened the innocent, whenever power tried to crush the weak, the bearer of justice appeared. Cole traveled the galaxy not as a conqueror but as a protector, not as a ruler but as a servant of truth. The artifact had seen something in humanity that other species had forgotten. It had seen the potential for greatness that comes not from strength but from compassion, not from fear but from hope. And the galaxy would never be the same. In the end, the species that others had called primitive and dangerous became the conscience of 1,000 worlds. Humans did not dominate the stars. They reminded the stars why justice matters. That was the gift of the first ones. That was the purpose they had waited 50,000 years to fulfill. And Cole, once a prisoner in chains, carried that gift forward into an uncertain but hopeful future. The bearer of justice had been found, and through him, humanity had proven worthy of the infinite darkness between the stars.